Hey everybody, Sean here from AdventureLog. In this video, I'll go over the core features and show you how to use the app, log your trips, organize them, and view everything on a map. So to start, I'm going to go ahead and log in with the admin credentials. Okay, so once you log in, you'll be presented with the dashboard screen here. So once we start adding stuff, you're going to see your stats at the top here are going to be updated and all of your recently edited adventures are going to be displayed here. So to start, let's go over to the Adventures tab. And this is where all of your adventures are going to be displayed. By default, the adventures that are not in the collection are not going to be displayed here, but if you want them to be, you can just check this checkbox and hit filter, and they will be shown here. And you've got lots of ordering filters, and you can toggle between visited and non-visited adventures. So let's say if you just want to look at the places you're planning to visit and you just want to like choose a new one to start your notification. So you can choose not visited and filter, and that'll show you all the places you are planning to go. So to get started, I'm just going to hit the plus button and I'm going to create a new adventure. So when I'm creating an adventure, I'm normally doing it based off of a location on the map. So I just like to start by going down to location information and I just search for a place in the search bar here. So let's say I search for Acadia National Park. I am not spelling that right. So let's search for that. Okay, and it's going to show up here. So it's pulling this data from OpenStreetMap. So basically any place or kind of like monument or national park you can search for in here. So I'm going to choose this. It's going to add it on the map. It's going to autofill in our location here, and it's also going to autofill in the name. So let's move on to the category here. So categories are a good way to organize adventures and kind of organize different activities you are doing with those adventures. So let's go ahead and give a category name. So let's say National Park, and let's just give an icon so we can open the emoji here, and let's go mountain. Cool. So let's hit add, and that's going to set it as a category. And if we had existing categories, they'd be shown up here, but because this is our first time adding something, we're just going to create a new one. You can go ahead and give it a rating and add a web link in here. And for description, you can write your own markdown. Markdown is supported with a preview here, or you can go ahead and hit generate description. And what this does is it basically pulls the article from Wikipedia with the same name as the adventure. So as long as this is filled in and that's the name of a Wikipedia article, it's going to go ahead and put it in here for you. So you can check out the preview. Go ahead and edit that if you want. So this public adventure toggle here, basically what this does is when it's enabled, you can share the link to the adventure with anyone and it'll kind of be publicly accessible on your server. So let's say you want to like post on social media somewhere that you've been, go ahead and make it a public adventure and share a link to it, and people can go ahead and view all the details in a read-only view. Okay, so our location is all set here, and you'll notice it actually went and found the region and the county that this place is located in based on the world travel section of AdventureLog, which we'll get to more in a little bit. It's showing as not visited now. We can manually toggle it here, or if we go ahead to the visits tab here, I'm just going to select today, for example. I'm going to add it. You can add notes if you want, and you can do like a multiple day duration here. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And you'll notice that it now says it'll be marked as visited once the adventure is saved. Because today is part of the visit, it's going to go ahead and mark those regions and counties as visited in the world travel section. So in this tab here, after you created your adventure, you're going to be able to upload attachments. You can upload kind of like a map, like a PDF, that kind of thing, or you can also upload GPX files to your adventure as an attachment. And GPX files are kind of special in AdventureLog because you can view the route of them on the map in the adventure details section, which we'll get to more later. Or you can just upload an image here from your computer, from a URL, or from Wikipedia. So I'm just going to go ahead and fetch the image from Wikipedia here. Cool. And there's actually a fourth option, which is not showing right now, which is uploading from your image server. And that's like an optional integration, which I will show you more later, and it's also available in the documentation that basically allows you to search your image library and you can upload directly from an album. Okay, so this adventure is now saved. I'm just going to click on it to view the details. So this is kind of the adventure detail view here. You can view everything, and if you want, you can also open it in maps. So if you want to like start navigation to an adventure, this is a good way to kind of view it in your native mapping app here. Cool. And if you want, you can go ahead and edit or add any visit information to your adventure. That's all available here. So yeah, that's kind of the basics of adding an adventure. Let's go ahead and move on to collections. So collections in AdventureLog kind of serve two purposes. By default, a collection is kind of a folder of adventures. So let's say you create a collection called Trip to Europe or Places I Want to Visit. You can go ahead and add adventures to that collection in an unordered way. But the way collections change into the full trip itinerary is when you have a start and end date here, which I'm going to show you now. So let's say we make trip to Maine, and you can go ahead and add a description here if you want. I'm going to set this to next week here, just so we have a date um, in it. So it starts the itinerary view here. So now that we have the date set, we're going to show days 1 through 5 here. Now we don't have any adventures in here, so what we can do is we can either add a new adventure or we can link an existing one into this collection. So let's go here. I'm going to go ahead and link it. And you'll notice it's not showing on the itinerary here. And that's because the date we added to the adventure is not in the range of the collection. So we can actually go ahead and change that. So let's open edit here. And this constraint to collection dates here will allow us to only view the dates that are set to the collection. Let's go ahead and set that to the second day of our trip. I go ahead and save that. And now it's going to show up on day 2. So Acadia National Park is showing here. And now that it's added to the collection, we can view it on the collection map. We can also view it on the calendar. And in recommendations here, let's say we set a 12-mile radius. We can go ahead and find food near Acadia National Park. And this is going to kind of show us all of the restaurants and establishments near. So let's say we want to go to Mount Desert Ice Cream. So let's create an adventure here. It's going to auto fill in the category. So let's go ahead and say we want to visit this on the third day of our trip. Let's go ahead and add that. We don't have to add anything else. So yeah, it's going to show up on our linked items here, and it's also going to show up on our itinerary. So we can go ahead and add more details if we want. I'm not going to do that in this video, but let's get to some of the other important parts of a collection. So not only can you add adventures to a collection, you can also add transportations, notes, checklists, and lodging. So each one serves a different purpose. These are collection-specific items, so you can't add these outside of a collection. So let's go ahead and start with the transportation here. So let's say drive to Maine. We're going to go ahead and set this as a car. So let's go ahead and put the start date as the start, and let's say we leave it 10 a.m. and we're also going to go here. Let's say we get there around 5 p.m. So let's go we're going to go from New York City, New York. You can be kind of vague here as long as it can kind of detect it on OpenStreetMap to Acadia National Park. Let's go ahead and fetch. It should be able to autocomplete this. Okay, no location found. That's say just say Bar Harbor, Maine, and let's put New York, NY. Cool. Okay, so it was able to autocomplete that, and you're going to see it on the map here. Let's go ahead and save that. So now on our map, you can kind of see our transportation here. So this is going to be our starting and ending points of where we want to go. So that's cool with transportation. One other thing is when plane is selected as the type, you have the option for a starting airport. So let's say I do JFK and let's just do BDL. I can go ahead and fetch location information here. And it's going to autocomplete based on the airport tag. So that's kind of cool. Notes are also very important. So let's say you want to have just like extra information about what to do in the town that you're visiting. You can go ahead and add a note. They can be vague, so they can just be general to a collection, or you can set it to a specific day. So let's say I want to add a note for the second day we're here. I can go ahead and type something out here and add links as well. So that's kind of how notes work. Checklists are pretty similar. Um, they're good for like packing lists before your trip, or like checklists of the things you need to bring to, let's say you're going hiking around Acadia, you can go ahead and make a checklist for the things you want to pack. So that's good for checklists. And lodgings are also important. So this is kind of like the places where you're going to be staying during your trip. So let's say you got a hotel. So let's just call it Acadia Resort. Um, yeah, so let's add that as a hotel. You can go ahead and add in your other fields here. Reservation number and price are also able to be added for lodgings. We can go ahead and constrain this to our collection here. So let's put this, let's stay there the whole duration of the trip. So we'll check in around 5 p.m. and we'll check out around 9 a.m. So I'm just going to put it in Bar Harbor, Maine, because we don't have a specific location here. And these are all visited already from Acadia. Cool. So that's our lodging is added in there. And we can kind of see it all if they're icons on the map here. And we got our whole calendar view of this too. Um, the all linked items tab kind of shows general of each type and what's linked to the collection. So yeah, that's what collections can do. They're very flexible in AdventureLog. The main reason why is because I figured there's so many different use cases for in so many different ways people like to organize their trips and stuff. So um, it's very flexible. That can lead to a little bit of confusion, but as long as you have a system that works for you, I say that's great if you can use this. So yeah, that's collections. One of the most important features of AdventureLog. Let's go ahead and move on to world travel. So the world travel feature is a good way to kind of track the places and the countries and cities you've been around the world. I think it's really cool to kind of look at the map and see all the different places you've been. I think that's one of my favorite parts of traveling and kind of the reason why I made AdventureLog. So if we open the map here, we can kind of see all of the countries around the world. So let's click on the United States. And these are all the states within the US. And if you click on a different country, it'll be sorted differently based on their region and how they define cities and states and stuff. So let's go ahead and search for Maine here. So Maine has been marked as visited because of our other adventures we did there. So you'll see on the map this red one is visited. That's where Acadia National Park is. So yeah, you can go for the map here, or scroll for the list below, and you can kind of click on any place that you visited. So that's how the World Travel City feature works. And these are regions and countries. So yeah, you can also sort by partially visited. So we visited one region in the US, completely visited, and not visited at all. So that can kind of be a cool starting point for your next trip. Let's take a look at the map feature here. So this map is kind of a global view of everything in your AdventureLog account. So it's going to show both your uncollectioned adventures and your collection adventures on the map here with different colors based on whether they are visited or not. And we can also show the regions we've visited as well. And it's going to show just Maine here because that's our only region. But as you add more adventures, this map is going to kind of fill up with pins, and that's kind of a cool way to see the places you've been in the world. So the calendar feature here is also a global view, kind of like the map, but it shows the dates that you've been at your adventures, that you have visited them. And you can also download this as an ICS file to import to whatever calendar software you use. In the users tab here, if there's anyone else on your server that has a public profile set up, so in settings, public profile, They'll show up here. You can kind of view their profile and their travel stats as well as their public adventures. So you can kind of see what other people on your server are doing and view where they're traveling that they've shared. So the profile kind of looks like this. It shows your stats, adventures, and your public collections. So you can also search in AdventureLog. This is a global search, so I can search for Maine, and you'll see I'm going to be presented with our adventures in Maine, our collection in Maine, our regions in Maine, and our cities with Maine in them. So it searches through all aspects of the app and really allows you to do a good global search. So if another user on your server shares a collection of you, it'll be shown up here. You can go ahead and edit and add adventures to it and work collaboratively. So if I did have another user on the server, I would go here to the edit collection and I could click share, and the user would show up here that I could share it with, and they would just go to their profile, shared with me, and it would show up here. And they can't edit the actual collection, but they can add adventures, lodgings, notes, all that stuff to it. So you guys can kind of work on a collaborative trip itinerary. So that's cool. Admin panel here, I'm going to go ahead and launch that. So because I'm the admin on the server, I can manage all of the administration, such as integrations and users, password management, and that kind of stuff. So in the adventures tab here, I can kind of manually add stuff and update any emails or anything if that needs to happen. So let's look at the user settings here. Kind of your basic settings here, password change, adding emails, multi-factor authentication is supported. We also support OIDC authentication, so you can kind of read more of that in the documentation linked here. You can link your account to social providers and log in with them. So this is a key one here, image integration. You can connect to your server with API key, and that will allow you, as I explained earlier, to view your photos and albums when you are adding photos, so you can just import them directly into AdventureLog. And last thing, this visited region check here is kind of a bulk check, so it goes through all of your adventures, and if the visited date is in the past, it'll mark that region and city as visited if it hasn't been already. So that's just kind of a way, if you're importing data, to kind of go through and check that. So yeah, that's kind of the main features of AdventureLog here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on the AdventureLog Discord server or on GitHub. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys.